Okay, had a great time testing these wireframes. The first round of testing that I actually conducted on the existing sponsorship site, kind of a heuristic usability test on the existing site, really unearthed a lot for me. For those tests, for that research, I targeted people who are both current sponsors and people who are not sponsors, and primarily among kind of the Sharon crowd, the persona, the kind of the primary persona for Global Fingerprints is a middle-aged mom, maybe a grandmother who is passionately involved in their local church. I unearthed a lot. I really designed this both for Sharon and for kind of the youngish mom intentional mom who is looking for something to get her family involved in, to teach her kids about the world and doing good in it. The main takeaway for that persona, the young mom, is that design really matters. She's used to working with prebeautiful products, Etsy and Pinterest kind of thing. Whereas Sharon, her strong preference is something that is very obvious, something that affirms her as she goes, something that does not confuse her. That would be very discouraging to her. And so I designed these wireframes to do that, to be clear and obvious, to be affirmatory, and also to be really sharp and utilize some of the most current design patterns that provide a affirmatory and very obvious experience. So, with that in mind, on the right side of the screen is my first draft. The left-hand side is my revised wireframes. You can see nothing changed actually on the main kind of sponsorship index page. The semantic search, where it says boys age 10 and under in Haiti, that's kind of a semantic filter feature that fared very well among users. Made sense. The affordances were clear enough. The underline what was enough to cue users that they could change, the filter by clicking on that or tapping, and then obviously once the sentence reads the way you want to filter, it was obvious that you tap or click on go to actually implement the filter. It was also fairly obvious that you have tabs. The Discover tab is this filter, and Enter Child Number was clear enough that if they had a child card, a little printout that they might pick up, at a table in church or at a booth at an event that has a picture of a child and some of the stories about, or some of the details of that child to sponsor. It comes with a child number that someone could go in and just find that child right away. The next page is the child page. The only thing I changed here was added a $35 a month reminder. Just that's the agreement. That is the price of sponsorship. The next page is the actual checkout page. Rather than having this opening message be "You are changing life for $35 a month," that's where I had that before. But as you see down here, I added the option to bill annually because a lot of users actually prefer that. and so I just changed this affirmation to "You are changing a life," and gave the option to bill monthly or bill annually. I also dropped this little arrow because some users thought, am I supposed to click on that, and is that going to take me somewhere new? And so it's really just more of a title for the next section, so I just dropped that arrow completely. I also, where it did say complete sponsorship, I changed it to finish and submit. There's some confusion around what would come after this page, and if it was necessary to actually finish and actually implement the sponsorship. And so now I changed it to finish and submit. So once you hit that, it'll basically bring you to this dialog to create please create an account so the child you're sponsoring can say thank you. And then once you hit confirm sponsorship, users would receive an email saying thank you, affirm them in the process. Didn't have that in the original, so that's a big revision. Next, this is the account page, the sponsor account page, and sponsors would come to this after they submitted, after they create an account. They'd come here, be reminded you are a world changer, another one of those affirmations thrown in there, and they can view all their information that they have put in. Now the password kind of makes sense in this context. One thing I changed here is I removed Advocate Portal from this side navigation. That was just a very nebulous piece of content that an individual sponsor may not really be that interested in. It was probably sat too high in the hierarchy. Also, they weren't quite sure what would happen if they clicked it. They wondered if that was some kind of forum or what. So what I did was I just broke it out as kind of more or less an advertisement, as an additional feature that they could use in their advocacy of children. Yeah, so I also added this link here, this call to action, that if none of these suggested children were compelling enough to you, you could discover more kids, which would bring you back basically to this to discover. Yeah, okay, so now for the other task that I had users test for me was this feature of creating an advocate portal, which really is basically more or less an affiliate page for churches and groups who want to kind of spur one another on with kind of tracking their own group's sponsorship activity. So groups can set up their own page with a sub with its own URL. So it'd be something like firstfreechurch.globalfingerprints.org, and they'd get a page. So the one setting it up will be the owner of the advocacy account, so they'll set up with their email address and password. I added. I was asked about, don't I have to do double check my password? Some people had concerns about their typing ability, and generally have concerns about if they typed in their passwords correctly, if they'd be able to remember what they typed. So rather than having double entry, I'm going to show the password by default. So I added this option to hide password if someone's concerned about someone looking over their shoulder while they create the account. But by default, it's going to be visible. I also added this little helplet that password must be at least 6 characters in length. Not sure what that actual parameter will be, but something along those lines. And then actually didn't add anything else or change anything in the actual group or church profile. And then on the actual advocate portal, I changed and there are a few revisions. For one, instead of just having a generic advocate portal, it was recommended that let's just make it obvious who owns this, who's running this portal. Also moved this. Some users were confused as to what they would do with that, let alone if you made that available to a bunch of technologically illiterate people who likely do not have websites. They'd be confused what that means. So what I did was I just added that here in the down here, more in context of actually what would be embedded, which is a few of the child cards into a site, in the sidebar or something. So put it more in context and added a few other things, email, share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter. Yeah. I don't believe I changed anything on the advocate admin side. Yeah. So, yeah, those are my revisions. I'm really excited because this is something that my team and my organization has been waiting on. I'm excited to present it to them, and hopefully get us a long way towards actually getting this implemented, which would drastically improve the current product. Through this process, though, I'm also seeing some opportunities for utilizing a lot of these patterns in other areas of our organization. Child sponsorship is not the only thing that could benefit from kind of this card pattern and this checkout process. We have a lot of projects and campaigns globally that could use the same kind of fundraising donation approach. So I'm really excited. Really benefited from this process. So thanks for listening. Looking forward to your feedback.